The Nikon rumor mill is heating up again, and the new rumor has it that we could possibly see a Z6 III that looks like the Z8. Is this for sure? We don't know. Let's talk about the features and what I think we shall be getting. Before we begin, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support the channel, there are links for items to purchase in the description area of each video. I've been looking at the rumored specs and been watching things and been trying to pick things apart to figure out, what it could possibly be. Let me start by saying I'm going back again with I think it's two cameras. Two. Why do I think two? It's a possibility, right? There's two nomenclatures that have been registered. So is it possible they could do like Panasonic and Fuji and make one that's more camera based and one that's more video based? Certainly there's a possibility. Now, the reason why I think that is because there are a lot of people out there who don't want to have a fan on their camera. So going with that speculation, the latest review was saying two nomenclatures being model numbers being registered. Maybe it is, or I could be wrong and it could be a Z6 and a Z7. We haven't heard much about the Z7, no information, but hey. So I'm not going to go over all the specs. You guys have heard a lot of those things. I'm just going to cover the things that I think are important, that I think a lot of us would want to see in this camera. And the photo side, 20 frames per second, that's awesome. And if it's going to shoot 120 frames per second, that would be even nicer, right? Because we're looking at this new A9 $6,000 camera that's going to shoot at that level. But they said it's new sensor. Well, it's supposed to be new. We don't really know what it is, but it could be an improved 24 megapixel sensor that we've seen from the Z6 and now ZF. And if you've owned one of these cameras, you know that the image quality from those cameras are really good, especially no light. And the improvements from the ZF, I'm sure we'll see that on the Z6 III as well. So that's something to look forward to. Another thing I saw, 16,000 second shutter speed. That's not a new thing. The Canon R6 II has that. So if we get that at the Nikon, I think that'd be fantastic. But we'll have to wait and see. The Canon implementation is not like all the time. Of course, in certain situations, we don't know what Nikon's version would be like, or really if we're going to get it, but it's something that's out there. And I think sometimes when we look at specs, it could be same thing that the competitor is doing, or to one up the competitor based upon how they implement theirs. So we'll have to wait and see what we're going to get with that one. Video side, 6K 60 NRAW and ProRes. That's going to be great. I think that's something that we will all like for those of us who do video. Of course, if you have one of these, you're not really worried about that so much. It doesn't do 6K. Let's take it, it goes all the way to 8K, but having 6K on board and downsampling is a good thing. To me, the more I start thinking about that, that's not such a big deal. And why do I say that? Because the camera already oversamples and give you a 6K output and 4K. Having RAW though, that's another level, because being able to do RAW, you have much more information to work with. So that would be a positive thing to see. Would we get dual ports for our USB ports like on the Z8? We certainly hope that it will come with that. One of the things I was thinking, like with this camera in my early reviews about the specifications that were rumored, I said it could do external recording, but this, no external recording. Everything is internal to this camera. Now granted, as you've seen in some of my videos, it kind of gets warm in certain situations here in Southeast Asia where it's like hot as hell on certain days. Well, most days I should say. That's something that we have to contend with. But if you're not worried about that kind of temperature, you don't live in that area with a temperature like that, then you're going to be fine for the most part. If you're shooting short clips and not long talking head videos like this, again, you'll be fine. Hopefully cooling on board, I don't know. That's also part of my speculation with the whole, two camera situation. One has fan, one doesn't have fan. The LCD, that should be improved, or hopefully it will come with an LCD like what's on the ZF. Personally speaking, I want the A7R5 type of screen, but we may not get that. But if at least for a flip forward screen, that'll be good. And while we're on that subject, they say it's gonna be a couple millimeters longer because of that. I looked at the specs. The ZF and the Z8 is the same length, not the same height, but the same length. And I've been saying I think the Z6 II needs to be a little bit wider. It's mainly for cooling, for video, my experience with the camera. But they could make it a little bit taller, sure. Yes, the ZF is also taller than the Z6 II. So having it be a little taller, again, all these things are for heat dissipation if you're going to have all these things internal with no fan. A bit thicker? Yes. The ZF is thicker than the Z6 II, believe it or not. So adding a couple millimeters to make it a little bit thicker for the IBIS, for the cooling, those are the things that I think will benefit this camera and make it even better. The features the ZF came out with: manual focus, subject detection, focus point, vibration reduction. All these things that we've seen, I'm pretty sure it's going to come. So I'm not going to go down the whole list of it, but those things should be in that camera as well. And that's going to make it like one level above everything else that's on the market right now. The stabilization, I think they should make it even better if you can handhold it and walk around with it like a Panasonic and get it really stable. If you saw my video where I talked about figuring out the Z8's stability program, it was said that it has to be at least 1/250 of a second in order for it to work, and I tested it, and it works fairly well when you're walking around and managing footfalls. I did some walking around with the ZF when I tested it, and it looked better to me than my Z8. And even after figuring out how to get the Z8 to work, I think the ZF still has the edge there. If the Z6 III can even come out with an even better stability system, yeah, I think we're the same but tweaked for better performance. That's the best way I can put it. I think that's something that we will all love. Now, for those of you out there who are looking forward to this camera, what do you think? Does these specifications make sense to you? Is it something that you'd like? Is there something else more that you want to see in this camera? Or does this camera meet all these specifications with what it has to offer? For me, in looking at it, I think it's going to give us all the things that, well, at least from my perspective, what I was looking for, but no idea on the cooling just yet, whether it be internal fans or external fans screwing on the back of it like the Fuji. Will they give us two cameras? Sometimes I go back and forth with that one, because I think, Nikon being what Nikon is, they might be more going to target what Canon is doing, or similar to Canon, more so than Panasonic and Fuji. And they've done a wonderful job with the Z8 and being able to do up to 8K and record for as long as they can, of course, in certain temperatures. So will they do that with the Z6 III? I'm thinking they're still going to target the same 2 hours and 25 minutes. That will work. So in a nutshell, I think what the specifications are saying, or rumored specifications, I think it's going to be a nice camera. Personally speaking, if they have the similar design to the Z8 here, where it's kind of the same nomenclature up top, naming on top, this is the on the front, it's a different look. It's moving forward from what the Z6, Z7 used to be, and moving that camera to more of a enthusiast camera. Back in the old days, the D300, D700, those were like the enthusiast camera, or the prosumer camera for the APS-C line and the full frame line. We didn't get a professional body that's APS-C after full frame came out, so we don't have to worry about that. But now that we have the Z9, this is the step down. T850 type and D500 had a whole different look. Personally speaking, I would love it if the body size, well, the looks, not the size. It's going to be definitely smaller on this camera. But if they can make the styling similar to the Z8, I would like that. You know, the flush buttons. But my guess is that it's going to have the PSAM dial that, you know, we're used to. Still not a big deal. We've just utilized it for years and we're used to it, so it's not a big thing. It's going to stick up according to what they're saying, but I would prefer it if it would be kind of flush like this. That's just me. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in the next one.